Set up line. No. Man. Maybe I cannot. Let's double check. If I can screen share, great. If I can't, then oh no, okay, we're good. Share screen. Let's do this. Okay, let's do window. Okay, so I have to basically do a short recap because doing this video is going to be well, this is going to be like a scholarly buildup of how Revelations was made, and feel free to ask questions, whatever, but I'm just, if nobody's here, I'm just going to go through an overview of how it was probably made and what led me to this, and it's going to shock the whole scholarly world if anybody actually sees this. Okay, or acknowledges it or researches it. This is what happened. If you go to certain chapters, let's actually share my screen of a different. So we'll hide this one. I have to change screens. Yeah, exit that. Share screen. Let's go. Okay. So if you went to Revelations and let's go to a random chapter, not a random, but so you go to verse. Let's go to KJV because it's more accurate as far as not accurate, but okay. You'll see these really weird like times. I saw a sign in heaven, great, marvelous, 7 angels having the last 7 plagues. For in them is filled the wrath of God. Okay, so the story is it's in heaven. Here's some angels. Here's the plagues, and it's filled with the wrath of God. What do you think's coming next? I mean, if you don't read on, then you would think angels, right? Let's oh, I should probably do something with that, but whatever. Instead, you get, I saw a sea of glass mingled with fire that had gotten victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark. And so it's a completely different setting, a sea of glass mixed with fire, and this different topic, a beast, an image, a mark over the name, stand on the sea having harps. So this is completely different. And they sing a song, basically. Let's just give it a different color. Okay. And then if you go to verse 5, after that I looked, and behold, the tabernacle of the temple was opened, and the 7 angels came out of the temple. So it goes back to the angels. So just, and then it continues, right? So let's just give it another color. There. So this is basically what happens. If you just take out verse 2 through 4, you can just read it. And says, and I saw a sign in heaven, great marvel, 7 angels having the last 7 plagues, for in them is the wrath of God. And after I looked, behold, the tabernacle of the testimony was open. 7 angels came out having plagues, and one of the 4 beasts said, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So it kind of just interjects the middle of the chapter with this. So let's just like separate these kind of interjections. Let's find another. So basically what happened is I read Revelation multiple times, trying to figure out like why is it so confusing sometimes, and why is it out of order? Well, if you take out all these interjecting thoughts, it's not out of order. It has a complete apocalypse. The issue is the interjecting thoughts can make people get confused about what's going on. So let's continue this one. I heard, so they pour out the angels pour out the stuff. Yeah, they say you're righteous for pouring out the plagues or whatever. It continues, and then it gets to the 6th angel, and then suddenly, right? Let's just mark it as a color. and it's all one topic. And then you get this interjecting thought. I saw 3 unclean spirit like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast. And then suddenly it goes back to the main topic. So, and the 6th angel poured out his vial, and the waters dried up, and the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And he gathered them together in a place called Hebrew tongue called Armageddon, which is Mount Megiddo, which is where the armies generally gathered in that time period and earlier when they were about to attack Israel. So it goes back to the original thought of, hey, Israel is about to get attacked. Yeah. So and the 7th angel pours out his vial. So this is all one thought. And if you take this out, it forms a complete thought. And it just is a just chronological apocalypse with no problems. And this happens all throughout the book. It's so you have to take out these interjecting thoughts, and suddenly everything makes sense. So this is step 1, right? And so I call the original apocalypse A, and that's what A is right here. So you could go to Revelations 1, for example, and Revelation of Jesus Christ, which God shortly, and it was bless, the time is at hand, right? Blessed is he that readeth, hear the words of prophecy, and keep those things written therein, for the time is at hand. So why is he sending this? It's a message as a warning that something's coming soon. What is coming soon? Well, I mean, obviously we should know that it was the warning that Jesus gave, because there's parallels to Luke 23 and Matthew 24, I think, where he says it's going to happen in your generation, and when it happens, you should run away. Go give some examples. Woe unto you, right? Where is it? He says, yeah, he says, daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves, for your children, for the days are coming. Blessed are the barren. They shall say to the mountains, fall on us, and hills, cover us. Okay. They shall say to the mountains, fall on us. Revelation. So you go to Revelation 6, right? Right. Well, I don't know. It's lagging, but anyway, it's laggy. Revelation 6. Maybe we can find. I think. Share this tab and say, oh, okay, there you go. So it's almost a parallel, right? And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and find us. So this is past tense. The other was future tense. So it's discussing the same exact thing. It's discussing the warning that he's giving to the next generation. It's going to happen in your time. It's going to happen in a generation. Matthew, right? Matthew 24. Okay. So here's Matthew 24. Generation. What was I about to? This generation shall not pass, so it's be fulfilled, right? So he's saying in less than a generation. So, and what happens in Revelations 1? So the theme of Revelation is this Armageddon that Jesus said would happen is happening. It's about to happen. And so, but the problem is there's these interjecting thoughts that interrupt the general flow of the chronological original apocalypse. So does that mean that somebody else wrote it? No, it actually means that it's just these interjecting thoughts actually form their own document. So there's one document, and then there were insertions. There's 3 different types of insertions. So one is Apocalypse, which is A, right? Let's see if we can find another. Maybe. Okay, so there's the original Apocalypse, which is A. There is. Let's do. Oh, somehow it doesn't open it anymore. Let's hit cancel and try to get back to. See if I can find it. Okay. A, B, C, D. Maybe this is the one. Probably not. But yeah, it's not it. I had so many darn. Let's see what was the most recent. 7/8, 7/14. Well, anyway, so there's 4 different documents basically. The first one is, and there's 5 different interjecting. There's 5 different themes going on. 4 different documents basically. The first theme, of course, is the original Apocalypse, where there's the warning to John. The second is the second theme is there are there's like a liturgical performance. I won't say songs of worship, because some of them are songs of worship, but potentially not everything is just a song of worship. Some of it's kind of like a scenic description of heaven that's inserted to give the heavenly spiritual presentation of what's going on spiritually while these physical things on earth are happening. And then, so that would be, let's call that document B. There's a few insertions that are like, I'm coming soon, or let him that is evil, filthy still be filthy, or something like that. I'm going to call that C, just interjecting thoughts, right? C and B are probably, generally speaking, tied together, like written at the same time, a lot of them. And then there's an additional later Apocalypse, which is D. So A is different than D. I mean, it's different timing. That's why A is written in a rushed tone. It's not very majestic. It's not very descriptive. It's not very, and it's more like, it's coming soon. Write this down. Warn my people. Got to get out of Jerusalem, right? And then D is more like, here's a beast. Here's the woman, and all the people escape the beast and escape the dragon who wanted to chase them, and there's this representation of a spiritual war that's going to happen in the future for 1,000 years. And this is all, and there's the mark of the beast. Don't take the mark of the beast. And there's descriptions of angels saying, hey, don't, they warn people, don't take the mark of the beast. And so this would be document D, and that came later. Why did it come later? One, it's not written about the same thing. It's written about warning people to flee. And A was written to warn people to flee. D was written to warn people, don't take the mark of the beast. And it's all the story of the beast. And the beast is 6 heads. So it has all this metaphorical stuff, and it has this this is what the beast is. So it's like describing what the beast is, and what the so it's more poetic. It's less grammatically choppy, more majestic. And then, of course, there's the closing E document. So I'll just go quick overview of what Revelations looks like. Let me just share my screen, and then we will conclude what the video is going to be about. Let's do that one. I have to reopen it. It's definitely not that. Final frame is not that. Okay, Revelation. This probably isn't it. This might have been my older version, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to use this one just because I don't have anything else up right now. So here is is not that one. I don't want to share that one. Man, you know what? Let's just share the screen. Okay. So let's do this. Let's just go through this. Let's minus that. Let's open this one. Okay. So this is probably what my current considerations are. Verse 1 through 3, warning, coming shortly. 4 through 6, letter to churches. So this is going to be the enclosure of all documents of A, B, C, D together. This is probably possible seam, but 9 and 10 are probably A. We can review it a little bit. But anyway, I'm just going to highlight what my thoughts are. There's the one, which is the introduction, 1, 2, and 3, right? 4 could be just a restitch where it's saying, hey, the trumpet, the angel with the trumpet, let's go back to him. And if it is that, then it's restitching the last time the trumpet was referenced, which is probably verse, let's see, verse trumpet, heard a voice as a trumpet, verse 10, right? Which is why it's probably the A document. And then, so 4 is probably stitching E to A together, maybe. Like if you went to chapter 4. Anyway, after this I looked, and behold, a voice of a trumpet talking with me and said, come up hither, and I'll show you things. So it's kind of like a rehashing back to the main topic, which was A, which is why it's probably stitch. Anyway, so there's the next 2 chapters are probably A. This one's likely A. This is possibly B. So let me show you what B looks like. You go to chapter 5. But anyway, yeah, it's basically like interjecting songs and heavenly worship. That's basically, we had taken the book, the 4 beasts sat, and the 24 elders, and you'll see a theme of the B is 4 beasts and 24 elders. So this is why I don't think it's part of the original A document. One, it's very descriptive of heaven. It's kind of like a not as rushed. It's more poetic and majestic, and it's imagery, and it's songs of worship added on to A, which A was just a flowing, like this is what's going to happen. You got to watch out. You got to run away. Flee Jerusalem before it's too late. Right. So there's that. Then it goes back into A, goes back to A. Then it goes another song of worship. Maybe it's B. Now, then there's A, and then A ends at chapter 11. So almost. And then it goes into the B, where it's the introduction of like the woman, they're running away. And then it goes into 13, which this is where I think B actually starts. So I think what happens, so B is almost chronological with A. A, B, C can work as one poetic liturgical performance of the apocalypse. A can work as apocalypse. B and C augment the apocalypse. But D should have been, I mean, if you read it chronologically, D kind of flows in its own right. But you have to reorganize D to be chronological, unfortunately. So what I think happened was D was originally written as augment to A, but written after chapter 19, where there's just the war, and then then there's the rising beast after the war is concluded, in verse 21 probably, something like that. Verse 18 or 21, it would have been where D had been interjected, is my guess. I'm not quite sure, but my current thoughts. So you see D might have been A or C. So just verse 10 stands alone, and this would have actually flowed to verse or chapter 11 maybe, or it could have been an exhortation from C. Okay, so 13, 14, 14, and then finally it comes back to A after verse 14. So there's like 3 chapters of interjecting thoughts that shouldn't have been part of the original apocalypse. So if you go over to verse 14, it says, I looked and behold a white cloud and Son of Man having golden crown and sharp sickle, you know? So originally that the judgment would have happened immediately after the 7th trumpet sounds, right? And then there's some worshiping saying, thanks to God for judging. And then it goes to chapter 14 and it says, and it has the judgment of the sickle. And then after that, it goes 15 was probably A. Verse 5 through 8 was probably this, I think could have been B, the whole thing. And then 16, I have mixed feeling. I think this is one of my older documents because I think I've adjusted this since then. But 16.1 could have been the continuation of 15.1. But I do think 5 through 8 are better. It's A now. Yeah. And then it goes, so 16, 1 through 12 is A, 13, 14. I don't know if this is the right document. But anyway, this is what happened. I'm going to overview my thoughts now. Yeah, basically, A was written first, warning the people in Jerusalem to flee. B and C were augmented after they fled Jerusalem during the time of Gallus, most likely. And they were probably in the mountain region of Perea, city called Pella. Or they could have extended further. They could have made this liturgical performance of being saved from the wrath of the Lord's Day. And if you go in the Old Testament, the Lord's Day isn't just about Jerusalem. There's many times the Lord's Day happens to other places, and every time it's a judgment upon a civilization. And this time, the Lord's Day was a judgment upon Jerusalem. Anyway, so this is the Lord's Day that the Revelation is talking about. The Lord's Day is not a good thing. It's usually judgment. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's what this is. So B and C were probably written to augment A. D was written after to warn of a new problem that was arising in the church, and that was the mark of the beast. So it would have started by introducing. I have a D document somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it starts with the beast. I'll try to see if I can find it. I don't think I have it with me. I'll have to find it later. Anyway, so the D document would have been the beast chronology, starting with the beast rising out of the sea, and then the other beast rising out of the earth, and then the what was it? The start gathering people together for a war. The frogs come in their mouth to deceive people, right? And then they try to battle against the Lord, but they fail. And then the beast and false prophet are cast into hell. The dragon is in chains, for 1,000 years. And then there's the white throne judgment, and then there's the description of heaven, and that would have probably been the D document. The description of heaven, I'm moving into the D document because I think it wasn't pertinent for the A document, because the A document was just a warning to escape because judgment's coming. The the day of the Lord is coming upon Jerusalem, so you should flee to the mountains, right? So that's what I think the A document was about, and I think the description of heaven fits better in the D document. And then after that, I think it was enclosed in the E document. And then I think sometime between 60s AD or 70s AD and 130s AD or 150s AD, one of these scribes, when they were retranslating Revelation, they took part of it, which was the stitched in D document, and they subdivided it into the ABC document to break it up. Why? I'm going to lean towards, currently, I'm leaning towards they did it to hide the fact that the beast was Rome, because they were in the Roman Empire and they were getting persecuted. And if they could hide that the beast is Rome, it prevented the church from, I guess, being persecuted. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now with the Revelation thing. Where are we at? I think that's it. So let's go back to the stream, and I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. And say bye for now. I'm sorry I didn't make a video on all this. I mean, I made a video, but then I didn't add all these pictures, and then I just decided I kept changing it. So I decided I'd give an actual video, a stream that people can watch if they want to review what happened, or what I think has happened with the Revelation document, in case I don't get public produced more high quality video out in a timely manner. Okay. Okay.